How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday. It's June 11th. Good to see you guys. Again, my name is Tom Jenkins. Thanks for joining me for another Cleveland Gaming Classic live stream. Super excited for you guys to keep tuning into these streams. I think this is the fourth we've done now with a bunch of different guests from the gaming community. So I'm super excited about we've got on the show today. So we've got Jay Bartlett. If you guys don't know Jay, he's the star of the film called Nintendo Quest, excuse me. But you can actually check that out, not right now, but check it out right after this video on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen it already. But if you have a chance to ask Jay some questions too in the live stream. We've got about an hour of his time today, so I'm going to bring him on camera here in a minute. But please go ahead and check that out. It's a great story from everything about obviously learning a ton about Nintendo, learning about collecting. It's really fast-paced, fun, exciting documentary. I just watched it again this week. It was great. So that being said, check that out. Also, real quick before I bring Jay on, I did want to give you guys an update on our show for November. So I just was in talks with Wagner's of Westlake. We are currently monitoring the situation here in the Cleveland area. So we've just gotten approvals to open for venues of guests more than 300 people. That being said, we're really monitoring the situation closely. So unfortunately, I don't have any other updates to give you at this time, but we're monitoring that situation really closely. But as you know about our show, it's November 21st and 22nd. You can keep up to date with everything here on Facebook and then obviously at our website at gamecleveland.com. So that being said, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys spending your Thursday evenings with us. This is super fun. We're going to keep this great content coming. And we're super appreciative of the people like Jay that have been able to come on our show and do this stuff for you guys, honestly, taking time out of their days and evenings to come on and talk to us. It's really a pleasure. So that being said, I'm going to find Jay here. Let me bring him in. 1 second. 1, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. There you are. You're officially on.
Hello, sir.
So welcome. You had me nervous for a minute there.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just on the back patio there.
Oh, it's fine. You know, I just got done putting my kids down to bed. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run upstairs, put the kids to bed real quick, and I'm going to come back down here. So
awesome. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm really bummed that I can't be there in person, of course, but like everyone, we're all in this together. So we got to do what we have to do, right?
That's right. That's right. So again, thanks, Jay. And as I said, real quickly early on, if you guys do have questions, got that nice scroller there. For Jay, as we go along here, we've got the live chat. Jay will be able to see your questions. I'll be able to show them on the screen. And if you have them, just feel free to pump those into the stream. So that being said, I was super excited about this interview. I know I say that a lot, but I think it was the first thing that you said when you joined the stream, like, hey, that looks like quite a cool collection behind you. So I thought we'd actually have a lot in common to talk about. So I have to kind of ask a burning question. I can venture to guess the answer to, but you still have your entire collection from Nintendo Quest? Oh, you've got a kid sighting, by the way.
That's just my wife.
Is that your wife? Oh, sorry. She blew by. I couldn't tell.
That's okay, yeah.
What?
The collection is no longer with me. No, it was sold as one solid piece to a private collector.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to get real estate from that. So it was a move that I thought was the right move at the time.
Yeah.
So it does not mean I don't love video games or Nintendo. It was just, something that was with me every day and I enjoyed for quite a few years. And I thought, I can actually take this and do something with it. So I did.
So is that the house you're living in now? Is it built by Nintendo?
No, it's the one before this one. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you sell it then? Because that film came out, 2018? I don't know when it was shot per se.
The film came out in early 2015. So it was a couple years after that. I think 2017, 2018. I think it was about 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
No massive NES collection anymore in this new house, or have you amassed any?
Oh no, I have a ton of NES games. I do. I just don't have the complete set anymore.
Okay. Well, yeah, neither do I. So we have something in common there.
Yeah. Again, that's a question I get a lot, and it's has nothing to do with my love for video games not being there. It's just simply, it was a dream of mine. It was a challenge put forth on me, and I completed it. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I can take this and do something with it. So I did.
Yeah, and I feel like I think I can relate, because it's kind of like one of those things. Once you complete it, then what do? Right? It's like you have it, and it's awesome, right? You could hold on to it, but it's like you're trying to get to that top of the mountain, right?
Yeah, I know. So for people watching, I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't. When I do interviews like this, I tend not to give anything away. I mean, if you want, that's totally cool, man. It's your show.
Sure.
So I won't give anything away, but there's a few key pieces that I did acquire that were in that game room in that particular house. And dude, seriously, I would walk by this room multiple times a day and just open the door and turn on the light. Okay, yeah, it's still there, and I would turn it off. You see the particular game at the end of the movie, and I put it in this glass case, that everyone has now, but the glass case, and it was very Indiana Jones, and so I would check that daily, and it just comes to a point where it's like, it's time for that particular piece to move on to someone else.
I should have mentioned that. You mentioned this would have a little bit of spoilers in it. I feel like we're gonna have some dialogue about Nintendo Quest. So if you haven't seen it, see it. And I'm gonna try not to spoil it too much. But that being said, I did have a question. I feel like I ask most collectors, right? So like when you keep stuff on your shelves, right? Like, so I've got the stuff behind me here.
Yeah.
How do you, as a collector, organize them? Meaning, give you an example, like there's Zelda 1 and 2, right? Adventure of Link and Link to the Past, right? And then you have titles that say like Adventures of Bayou Billy. Like, do you put it with Adventures, or do you put Zelda 1 and 2 next to each other, or do you have a strategy?
Zelda for me has always gone under L for Legend.
Okay.
I don't count the, which I know some people do.
Yeah.
It's always under L. But the Zeldas have always stayed together. Something like Bayou Billy, like who cares about Bayou Billy? Like,
it's not a terrible game. It's a hard game.
Yeah.
But I always wonder that, because it's like people, when then you show people your collection, they're like, oh, so you've got this one, you don't have the other one. No, I do, but it's up here with, it's not, it's alphabetical, if you will. It's just not next to the other one.
Everything save for, like, I'm not too good at this. The games there, that's a handful of really rare stuff I have. Those are in no particular order. Those are just kind of on display kind of thing. I have a sealed Mario 3. I have a Super Mario World signed by Mason Kramer, who's the world record holder, who's now my buddy, which is awesome. That's just stuff like that. That's obviously in no particular order. But, the library for Genesis, Turbo, Super Nintendo, all that's all alphabetized. Yeah,
it's got to be alphabetized. Then when you have people over, you got to show them what's going on, and because they look immediately for the cart that they're looking at you don't have, and you haven't. What's that?
I know what you mean. There's always that one person.
They're like, oh, well, do you have this game? I had it as a kid. Do you have Contra? I'm like, yeah, it's right here. Yeah. All right. So I have to ask, how did you get started in a lot of stuff? Obviously, you're known in the community now, and obviously from Nintendo Quest, and you can see the collection you have behind you. But I'm always curious, like how people. And you asked me, we were just chatting before the interview too.
Yeah.
But how did you get started in the Nintendo scene or just gaming scene overall?
Oh, well, I've been, to call yourself a gamer is not a huge title anymore, because what person doesn't play a game? Everybody plays some kind of video game now, right?
Yeah.
But a gamer all my life, of course, and I am now 44, so I've been there from the beginning. So I've kind of just grew up with it, and I was one of those kids that it was kind of weird where, I would have NES and then Genesis and Super NES, and all my buddies always wanted the newest and greatest. So I remember 95 when the Saturn surprisingly came out in May and nobody knew it was coming out. And the PlayStation came out the following September. Everybody wanted the newest stuff. So everyone was getting rid of Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega CD. Everyone was selling that all to put it towards the new stuff. And I just remember I never wanted to get rid of any of that stuff, because it was like an old movie, or like, an old awesome record that you like, I always wanted to go back to it. And I would have the games on the bookshelf, and buddies would come over and they're like, "Oh man, why do you have those old Nintendo games? Why do you have?" So it started out just basically my love for games. And
that was the thing with me. Like in college, people were like, why did you bring your Nintendo to college? I'm like, what do you mean? Why did I bring it to college for? Of course, this is what I grew up with.
Yeah, I mean, you got to strip away in gaming. You have to strip away graphics. It's just the shiny packaging, right? Good gameplay is where it's at. That's just a fact, right? If a game plays well, it's always going to play well. Obviously, anything like the Miyamoto touches is gold, right? So that's a perfect example there. The other answer to the question is my best friend, who I grew up with, happens to be a filmmaker. And Rob McCallum has made some amazing, amazing films. The Power of Grayskull, which is the documentary on He-Man, Kitty, which is a rock group from our town, and of course Nintendo Quest. He approached me and he's like, "Hey man, I want to do a documentary on collecting. What do you think about me following you around to the game stores and the comic book stores you go to every week?" And it just started with that, and then we kind of sat down at a table and we started writing what would become Nintendo Quest. And I mean writing as in what the structure of the actual doc is going to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, because you talk about that in the film, obviously you dig in on your relationship with Rob. Is he a gamer too? It wasn't touched on in the film. Like I didn't know if he's.
Yeah. We grew up. I was that kid who, for whatever reason, was able to talk my parents into buying me every game system, which was always a huge fight. But Rob was one of the guys, it was either Super Nintendo or Genesis. Yeah. It wasn't both, right? Where I was a spoiled little bugger who had both, right?
You had both? Man, you were living the dream.
I did, yeah.
I always had to have a friend. I had a Genesis. I would go to my friend's house who had a Super NES, but then I got a Sega CD, and I was like...
Oh, yeah? See, I never had a Sega CD when it was out, so there you go. That's awesome. But my mom was incredibly good to me, and I always joke with her too, right? It's like, especially for my love of Star Wars and stuff, she's like, well, what are you doing with your house? Look at this place. And it's just like, you created this, so thank you very much.
That's right. I'm your spawn right here. Exactly. That was actually a question too, because you talk about that in the film. Star Wars and gaming, and obviously from the stuff that people don't follow you on social media already. You see some of the stuff. You're doing a ton of Star Wars stuff. I've seen some, like the action figures and walls. I don't know if you still have a lot of that stuff, but we actually named our first son Harrison after Harrison Ford, Han Solo. So you and I are kind of separated at birth. I feel like in that regard.
Yeah, that's great. And that's
we thought like Han was a little bit too deep.
It's a fantastic name. I mean, there's George Harrison and then Harrison Ford, like two powerful guys right there. Yeah.
Strong name, right?
Great name.
It's a strong name. Cool. So I wanted to dig in on the film a little bit.
Sure.
So kind of get into the details there. So one of the things in the film, and I've got some screenshots I'll kind of bring up on the screen here and there as we talk about. But one of the things I'll say you don't talk about in the film so much. Again, for those who haven't seen it, there'll be a little bit of spoilers here, but please go out and see it. Check it out on Amazon Prime, as I said at the beginning. But one of the things is there's this, got it here. I apologize for how you look in this screenshot too.
That's okay.
I try to find a semi-respectable photo for a screenshot. But you talk about, the Nintendo Quest as a whole, right? It's 30 days to collect all the licensed 678 North American licensed games on the NES, obviously. And there's this concept of, I'll say air quotes, the budget that you have, right, over these 30 days.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious, if anything, what you could tell us about what this budget may or may not be, or how you even determined it, or any details you can share with us there.
Yeah, of course. Well, first and foremost, I mean, I'm not an actor. So going back a little bit to what I said, where Rob and I came up with the idea, everything in Nintendo Quest is real. There's nothing reenacted. There's everything that happens, right?
Yeah.
I'm not an actor. I'm terrible at acting. So everything I assure you is real.
You did great. You did great on camera.
Oh, thanks, man. The budget, I don't share the number because it was my own personal money. So we did a number of different Kickstarters. The second one for disc distribution, the first one just to get the project running.
Yeah.
Kickstarter back in 2013 is not like what it is today. Today, you present a finished product. For me, it kind of defeats the purpose of Kickstarter. But back then, it was still, you would cut together a little trailer, say, here's a little bit of what you're going to see. If you want to support it, it's going to come out in a couple of years. It's very different now.
Right.
So Rob's like, you're going to use your own money. And I did. And so it's very personal. And I don't talk a lot about the total I spent. There are some people who have reached out. I get awesome fans reaching out daily. I really do. And I appreciate it. But there's one guy who actually calculated almost to the dollar. And he got it right.
What?
Yeah. He was able to.
That's the thing. Like, I feel better about that because it's like if it Kickstarter or not, like if there's no value to it, then it's like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't really matter. It takes away all the emotion aside. So that, I mean, I didn't know that, and that makes me feel better because it's like when you go to shows and you buy carts, like there's that emotional process, right? And it's like even if it's $50 or $100 or $20 or $10, it's like, like I think I could do better, right? If there's no emotion there, then
so I mean, I'm definitely not a rich guy. Do you know what I mean? So if Rob had picked a subject, a guy who was really rich, and he could just go into the first store and buy, if they had 500 unique titles, 500 of the 678, who cares?
Right, yeah, cool.
It's kind of weird for me to talk about myself as a character, but I'll try. You want to see the guy in the movie struggle. You want to see him go through turmoil. You want to see all that stuff. And I think I was perfect for that because, like I said, I wasn't rich. So my own money, every choice I make, and you can see past the halfway mark how stressed I start to get because not only time's running out, but my bank account's running out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you just can't be handing out cash to everybody. And also, too, as a collector, and like what's a good deal and what's a bad deal. And you talk about one point in the film, too, like you're haggling with this guy, and I know this, right? It's like because you go to local game stores and you generally know the owners. Right, you have a good relationship with them, and then some stores you go to, and I'm again not trying to put anyone on the spot or bash stores one way or the other, but it's like if someone's if you know them and you have a relationship and they know you're a collector, there's kind of like this unspoken bond between you. Like, you got to be willing to work with me to some extent, right? And if you're not, then it's like, and you talk about it too, like you don't have a connection there, and then you don't really want it anyways. You almost become bitter. It's like, oh great, I just paid like full price for this thing, and like I feel like this guy ripped me off over it, right? It's just kind of jades you.
Yeah, and when I started out, I wasn't good at haggling. And you'll see in Action Figure Adventure, I'm good at it now. I mean, when I started Nintendo Quest, it was something that made me very uncomfortable. Yeah. And you can see that with the purchase of Bubble Bobble 2 in Toronto.
Yeah.
When I picked that up, I'm very nervous talking to the two owners there.
You have to be able to do it, though, as a collector, I feel like. And people want you to do that too, don't you think? I mean, no one wants to give up the value, but I don't know.
So for me, it's different when you're haggling $5 or $10, but when you're talking about a game that's worth $200-300, I feel bad. I don't know why, I just feel bad, and I want them to get, because they've shoveled out X amount of dollars to get this thing in the first place, so I don't want them to lose money. But at the same time, of course, I want to save money, right? It's just who I am, right? And me, but I've learned to harden up as time has gone on, so I'm a little better at negotiating now, I think.
Yeah, you gotta be. Gotta be. So in the end of the film, again, spoiler alert, like you don't hit all the games, right? Towards the end of the 30 days, you come up short. That being said, I wanted to bring up again. I've got a bunch of images I'm going to put you on.
Sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So at the end of the film, there were these, you show the games that we weren't able to get, and I love it how you're talking about like, hey, it's real, but I have to call shenanigans on Jekyll and Hyde. How did Jekyll and Hyde make that list? I know you probably can't even see that image, but.
That let me tell you, my friend, that is 100% true. And okay, so let me kind of break down what a day of shooting is like for us.
Sure, yeah.
So we get an itinerary from our producer of the stores, and for the most part, we don't call ahead because we find if we call ahead, this is the same with Action Figure Adventure. If we call ahead, I don't know if they just don't take us seriously, but they don't really want anything to do with it.
No, they're going to say, no, we don't want you here. Like,
yeah, I don't know if they just don't believe it or whatnot. But when Rob shows up and our producer shows up and they go into the store with the documents and you have to sign the
NDA or something.
Yeah, the NDA and all that. It's a little different. So I show up. I'm not allowed to go in the store. I have to stay in the production van or pace outside as I usually do because I'm so nervous. I can't go in the store. I don't know what's in there. Okay. And Rob's like, okay, this is the layout. You're going to go here and go around here. He's like, you got 25 minutes. Go. It is real easy to miss stuff, man. And let me,
I believe it. I believe it.
Let me tell you, especially the second visit to ANC in Toronto, where I had to get our producer, Mike, to jump in because my mind was mush. So there's that one shot when I'm in my house, I'm collecting all the cards, right? It's kind of like on one of our off days. I had 4 copies of Tiger Heli that I bought because I just like, oh yeah, I don't have that one. And for some reason I'm looking at the app and I had it checked off, but I still bought it.
Well, because you see the label too, like, like you go out to like a show or a store and you're like, oh, this label looks different. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
I must not have it. Like
Jekyll and Hyde, I know. And I know that game is famous because of James Rolfe, right?
That's why I was wondering if it was an Easter egg. Like I was like, oh, I wonder if they did that intentionally. That's why I wanted to ask you about Jekyll and Hyde. Like maybe they did that intentionally just not to buy it.
But believe me, I wanted that gap to be as small as can be. So if I'd found Jekyll and Hyde, I would have got it. Yeah. But yeah, people look at that list and they're like, wow, you didn't find that one? You didn't find
I know, right? That's why I paused on the screenshot for a minute. That's why I took that screenshot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all the other ones to me seem like I know this stuff pretty well. And I'm like, okay, there was like Die Hard, there was the Frankenstein carton. There's like some of the uncommon to rising in, stature type of rarity. But I saw Jekyll and Hyde, and that one has actually even gone up in price too. I think because of AVGN sometimes actually just how much he spoofed it. So, but I wondered that. Yeah,
it's crazy. No, and I looked at the list after, and I was like, really, like Jekyll and Hyde. But what even got me, like I said, was the 4 copies of Tiger Heli. I'm like,
right,
what the hell do I have 4 copies of this game? It's worth 20 cents. Like,
those games, some of those games are just terrible. Like I remember like seeing you pick up these games. I'm like, oh god, I feel so bad for you even to buy those games.
Some of them hurt, and one of the most common ones I think was Classic Concentration. I didn't get that till towards
the end,
the last day, dude. So I don't, and again, and I'm not saying I have hawk eyes, right? Because you're scanning this stuff and you got cameras on you, and it's the most awkward situation because we can't have any music playing. So if you go into a store and they have a loop tape playing or a game, it has to be shut off, right, for copyright reasons. So the store is dead quiet. So it's just me, and literally you can hear my bag rustling is the only noise. It's really strange to get used to.
It's scary.
It's awkward at first. So you're looking, and I'm talking to myself, and sometimes I'll talk to Rob, but he doesn't answer back because he's trying to direct, right? It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun, but it's very stressful.
But it is weird, though. Like you said, I mean, like sometimes you see the same games. I actually thought that because at the end of the film, you find Classic Concentration. I'm like, oh, it's like a terrible game. And it's kind of like finding like football on the NES. It's just like the unlicensed, like the black box version of football. Like it's just one of those games that like shows up everywhere. You're like, oh, Classic Concentration. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, at least you found it.
We were actually going to our friend Sid Bolton. We were actually joking around with him. We were going to get all the black box copies of Golf that we found and make a couch out of it.
You could.
We found so many Golfs out there.
Right.
But we didn't. But that would have been fun.
I like that game. Kevin Molnar. Kevin, hey, good to see you as always. Funkoland. Did you check Funkoland for Jekyll and Hyde? I think you got some spelling issues there, though, Kevin. Remember Funkoland? I still have some Funkoland sleeves, those multicolored sleeves.
That was the States only, was it not?
I think it was. Yeah.
So when I was a kid, again, I'm Canadian, right? So back in the day when I was growing up in the early 90s, like when I started to really, really game, my mom would take us over to Michigan. That's the closest state. And going over there, dude, back then was like the promised land. because they had EB Games, which we
Yep.
did not have. They had Babbage's. What was the toy store? KB Toys.
Toys R Us,
that
probably.
stuff, it was never here, and Funkoland was never.
Yeah, Funkoland was the spot. Like Funkoland today would have been like the gold mine because it wasn't that weird transition. I couldn't cite the exact years, but where all the other game stores were offloading all their garbage NES games to Funkoland, and that's where when guys like me were still collecting, we'd go and scoop that stuff up for uber cheap because they're selling everything for like $2-3.
Yeah.
And then Funkoland eventually turned into GameStops, I believe, or folded up and just
yeah. GameStop picked up EB Games, Babbage's, Funkoland, and someone else as well, and they became GameStop, unified all those companies. Yeah,
but it's like if you could rewind time, right? I mean, I know we say that a lot in collecting.
Yeah, there was that sweet spot, like I was saying,
right?
Like 95, 96, when all the CD game systems were coming out. Nobody wanted the carts, right? So that was the time to collect all that old stuff, man, because nobody wanted it.
Nobody wanted it. Yeah. They're giving it away. I just remember like the bins and bins of NES games. That being said, any other memorable moments, maybe off camera from some of the store owners or some of the stories that you want to share from shooting the film that we didn't get to see?
There's a funny one that I want to share that didn't make the film. We were visiting Ben Gold, who is one of the very first professional gamers out there. And he knew some people, not personally, but through whatever. And he said, these people have got some really rare NES games. We should go check them out. I'm like, yeah, man, let's go to these people's house with Ben Gold. Mm-hmm. My friggin' heroes, right? And we'll buy games on camera with Ben Gold. Well, these people, how do I put it? They were pretty off, right? So we get into their kitchen and they have all the NES games lined up on the kitchen, and I quickly look at them and there's nothing, right? It's like Metroid and whatever else, and the whole family is kind of like circling us and the crew, and I'm kind of looking at Rob. I'm starting to get that weird feeling, and then the one guy is like, "Oh yeah, I got this gold one. It's worth at least $2,000." I'm like, okay. NWC? No, of course not. It's Zelda. Right? So he holds up Zelda. And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, that's like $30 maybe. Yeah. He's like, no, it's 2,000. I saw it online, and he's getting like louder. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, well, think about it, man. We kind of, the crew starts.
Perhaps like keep rolling.
That's one of the awkward situations. But for the most part, everyone was really awesome. There was a few flea markets. I think there was one in Detroit where the guy was a bit of not a nice character, but for the most part, I had great experiences, man. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, everyone has their stories, like, from going to flea markets or shows or stores, right? It's just, people are characters. I love it. And I think it's great. And some of the stuff you got on film and talking to people, helping you out, like, hey, what's new? Got anything? Like the one part you asked, like anything in the back. I remember like one of the coolest places here is when, you feel like you have to earn the right to finally like go in the back room or go downstairs to see the other collection, like that's, I could tell like at that point, he knows like, hey, do you have any other new stuff that's coming that's not out yet,
And it's funny you say that because one of the very last stores we go to on the last day, we're all in my hometown here of London. And we were banking on something you don't see in the movie is the guy's like, oh, come back in a couple weeks. I'm going to have this big collection of NES games. And that's where I think I got Winter Games on the last day. And he literally, dude, he had nothing. It was the same crap.
Yeah.
And we were so bummed out, man. But that's,
you go there and you're like, oh, man, this guy's
you take someone's word, you don't know, right? So I was really banking on that, but there was literally nothing but Winter Games.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
And then I have to ask too, at the beginning of the film, the film starts off, again, I'm not going to spoil a lot for those of you that haven't seen it, but he starts off, I'm kind of curious, like you're meeting up with a bunch of your friends, right? So you start off talking to your friends, hey, here's about Jay, he's a big passionate gamer, going into the whole story. And then you're in people's basements or friends, and I don't know if they're giving you games. There's one scene where it's evident like you're buying games from your buddy. But I was kind of curious, like, did they do you a solid, or did someone give you the games, or because again, one of those unspoken things. I'm not asking for prices, but I'm, just how did that go?
That was something that when it first came out, that was one of the negative things we got hit with. Was always buddies are just giving him his games.
Okay.
I paid for a good lot of them, except my buddy Skylar, who I actually joke with on camera. I'm like, no, I'll give you like $2 for these. I can't.
Which I thought was hilarious. He's like $2, like.
Yeah, he had like micro machines, which I didn't want anyway because it was third party, right? Or it was like unlicensed, and I'm like, no, I'll give you $2 for these. But my buddy Joe, where I got Contra Force, he's a huge Konami fan, and he had this stuff that I didn't know. So he loved Castlevania, Contra, anything Konami put out, he loved it, right?
He's not
just going to give me Contra Force, I assure you that, man.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, no, this is pretty common. Like, this is Contra. You know, like, no.
Well, and he's one of my best friends, too, so I could never – I couldn't rip off anybody anyway. But
no, I hear you.
But you know what? When you're faced with a task of getting all the NTSC games in 30 days – you're going to go where you're going to go to try and do it. Because I knew one of two things. If I failed, in my eyes, the movie was going to bomb. But the movie kind of shifts when I get fixated on stadium events. If you notice, the movie almost becomes about that. Mm-hmm. That's just the kind of collector that I am. I want the best version of the best game. Yeah. And once I get tunnel vision, that's it. So I knew that if I wasn't going to complete the quest, I had to get stadium events.
Yeah,
that's
what you get. I think it's what a lot of collectors do too. You got to cut this holy grail, and it's like you have an addictive personality where it's like, you know, you got to get it. And you can't get it out of your mind until it happens, right? And then you talk about how you want it to be the right story and you want it to be memorable. And there's that whole dialogue you go through with this guy Josh Jones, right? In that situation.
And Josh is a good guy. We've spoken since. We have no animosity towards each other, but it was just he just wanted us to come to Florida and film that, and it's like, well, dude, it's a camera crew. This isn't like someone with their iPhone. You know what I mean? Like it's
you got like get 4 people to come down there.
Yeah, I'm like we can't do that, and it just started to feel weird. And then he wanted me to send the money, and I was like, you know what? This isn't going to look good, and it just. You know, in your gut, it didn't feel right. So
Kevin Molnar, always a huge fan here. Love it, Kevin. Favorite box art from an NES game, and we're going to tie into this later. Spoiler alert for the stream here.
Kevin, how are you, my friend? Thanks for tuning in, man. It's a pleasure to talk with you. Rob McCallum also has a docu-series called Box Art, which you should check out on robmccallumfilms.com, and that is basically video game box art, man. It's a docu-series, and it's wonderful. So check it out. It's right there. It's that yellow one right there.
Oh, Super Mario 3 is that? Yeah. Okay, cool.
The most iconic image in video games to me is that box. I absolutely love it. And it was burned into my little pea brain when I saw The Wizard in the theater. And
California.
Yeah, the first just the legend behind Mario 3 and how literally nobody knew that game was coming, and you saw it in a theatrical form. Like that would never be done today.
No, people would never do that. And then it actually had then happened in real life with a world championship.
Yeah, so that Mario 3 has always been my favorite for sure.
Yeah, even though The Wizard, I mean, you could argue is, you know, not the best film, but at the time, your mind as a kid was blown.
You know what?
Thanks for checking out. Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's great to know. What's it called again? What's Rob's docu-series called?
Video game box art.
Okay, cool.
We love The Wizard. It's, you know, you have nostalgia ties obviously to things that you grew up with, and that movie means so much to us that we followed up Nintendo Quest with a Nintendo Quest Power Tour where we shot us going across North America to the different states where we screened it. And we did our first screening in Beverly Hills. And we're like, you know what, man? We're going to that dinosaur from the end of the movie. And we actually found the dinosaur from The Wizard, and we shot it in one of the episodes. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Jimmy Woods cheated, FYI, Kevin said. Very good, Kevin. So when we're on the topic of box art, I did have this saved a little bit later, but I'm going to jump ahead. So I have something. So I have to ask you, so is it fair to say, you know, you consider yourself pretty, you know, a resident expert on NES things? Is that fair to say? I'd hope the answer is
I would like to think so. I mean, all depends on what you're talking about, I suppose.
All right. Well, it's in the Jay Holiday. Thanks for tuning in. The question we're gonna go back to that in a second here. Related. Have you ever met Fred Savage, Jay? Have you ever met Fred Savage?
I've never met Fred Savage, no, but
No.
yeah,
You know,
it'd be pretty cool to meet him.
maybe this will get you there.
Yeah.
But I am asking if you consider yourself a pretty resident expert on all things NES, because we have our first ever NES challenge. If you're up for it,
Sure.
and my show is as big budget as it is. I'm going to call this the Test Your Might NES version.
Okay.
So we generally do one thing at least on every show. One is the lightning round, which we're going to get to that. But I think this would be kind of fun for you, given the Nintendo Quest nature of this. So what I'm going to do is bring on the screen, and it ties into Rob's docuseries as well really nicely.
Sure.
So I'm going to bring on a bunch of NES graphics. Might be box art, might be cart art, and we're going to start easier and then get progressively harder. And I'm going to have you try to guess the NES box art. You feel like you can do it?
I will give it my best shot.
I feel like that's a fair and safe answer. So we're going to start easy. So if you get the first one, you're going to be in for a rough 3 minutes here, however long
That's
it takes.
okay, man.
All right, here we go.
Give it to
I'm going to try to make this all happen. Get ready. All right.
That is the original Mega Man.
All right, doing okay so far.
That would be Rad Racer.
Okay. Loving it. You haven't embarrassed yourself yet?
Not yet. But there's time. That's
we still got plenty to go. I think I've got like 10 of these.
Pro wrestling with two wrestlers that aren't actually in the game.
Hey, cool. Bonus. Double bonus. Can you name a character in pro wrestling?
Starman.
Oh, nice. Solid. Love it. Doing great.
That's Blades of Steel.
Gets the pass.
Yeah. That is Super Tecmo Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I got to keep pushing these in and out here. Hang on.
That is Jackal.
Love Jackal. It's like one of my greatest favorite games ever.
The NES version of Jackal is actually really good too. It's pretty close to the arcade, believe it or not.
The soundtrack, right? I mean, you talk about gameplay being a huge part of games, but soundtrack, just unbelievable.
And you want to talk about box art too? That classic silver Konami box art that they used to do for the NES. I love it.
It's so epic. Now I've got one here. It should have been earlier, but I'm going to put it up anyways.
Is that Schwarzenegger and Stallone in Contra?
Right, yeah, exactly. All right, now we're going to start to get some deeper cuts here.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Elevator action.
Okay.
Oh man, it's a Power Glove game.
Yeah. Everyone had it. Everyone liked it for the first 30 seconds, then they hated it.
I don't recall the name.
Let's go with this. Super Glove Ball.
Super Glove Ball.
Super Glove Ball. It was always when in doubt with an NES or Super NES card, just throw the word Super in there. All right.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we're getting deep now. You'll get one of these, I feel like.
Wow.
Okay, we don't have a lifeline or phone a friend, but if you know in the chat, you can always type it in too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a pretty rare game.
Yeah,
Cool school.
Yeah.
Cool school.
Help me out, guys.
Come on.
No, it's not Super Glove Ball.
Super Glove Ball. Yeah, Kevin, you're like 5 minutes late. What are you drinking? All right.
Oh, that stupid one.
Yeah, exactly. That stupid one. You know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Me, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You got me
Uninvited. Claude DeBoard, how you doing? Hello from Mac.
Uninvited.
Uninvited. It's a great game.
Are you gonna pop up Ghost Lion? Is that coming next?
Stone face. Classic NES. Stranger Things, the game. No.
Yeah, that looks like Stranger Things. Yeah, it escapes me. Is that Rad something?
I think you're on point with using the word rad. Treasure Master. Dude, this is like, what was the other one? And the Wally Bear and the No Gang? Like that was
and it was great. It was almost like the 2600 for a lot of the NES games, where the box art for a lot of the 2600 stuff was so amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, very primitive. But
it has like nothing to do with it.
Yeah, like the box art for something like that, and the game is just like doo-doo, like Daydreaming Davy. Like
Daydreaming Davy, or Big Nose the Caveman, or whatever some of those games were.
Yeah.
All right, we got 3 more. Okay. Try 3 more, I promise. I'm going to put through the last 3 here. I know you're squirming in your chair there. I can see it.
Oh, good.
Oh. This is a classic game. How do you not know this? Space X Project.
The age. It's my age.
Space Shuttle Project.
Yeah. Unlimited something.
No, it's the Space X Project today. All right, so there's this one.
Yeah, Ghost Lion. Yeah.
So how did you get? Where did Ghost Lion come from earlier?
Because that is literally probably the most bizarre NES, not only cover but name. You mentioned Ghost Lion, most people don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah,
like it's this really bizarre RPG. I actually played a little bit of it. It's all right.
Like, and this is real, by the way.
That's look how epic that painting is. Like it's wicked.
It is wicked. It is something. All right, and then I got one more. I think if I could find it here. Hang on, I lost it.
That's okay.
Save the best for last if I could find it. Okay. I don't know if it's the best for last. I feel like Ghost Lion was the best for last, but they started to get a little bit more advanced here.
I want to like SWAT or something like that.
You're there. Scat.
That's right. Yeah.
Is it like security, cybernoid, something? I don't know.
It's really weird. All those ones that I didn't get, people ask me this all the time. Did you play every single one of the games? Absolutely not. I didn't.
Oh, that's what people ask me when they go over like, oh, so you've played all these games, right? I'm like, no, are you kidding me? Like, half of them are garbage.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got a good idea of what it is, and within the history books, you don't talk about Ghost Lion too often, right?
It never really comes up in conversation with your friends.
Yeah.
Did you pick up?
Hey, that's good, man. You got me. So there you go.
No, come on, you give yourself some credit. I'm gonna give you I wasn't keeping score, but I feel like you at least got Mega Man and Contra. We'll give you that.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
So believe me, some of this stuff I feel like I kind of have the blinders on. I've been really an NES guy for so long, but I feel like I could get some of that stuff, but Ghost Lion would escape me as well, or Scat would escape me, or Space Shuttle Project.
It's funny too. I talked to people throughout the years since it's been released, and when you're known for that one thing, people think that that's all you do. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, do you talk to Miyamoto and stuff like that? It's like, no, man. Like,
no, I text him. That's what you say. No,
it's like I don't just go home and play Nintendo games. You know what I
mean? You can't do that. Yeah. So I'm doing a time check here. I know we're coming up on the hour.
Yeah.
But I wanted to hit on one topic. For people that aren't following you, or want to learn more about what you're doing on what you're working on right now. You and I were talking about just before we started the stream too. Can you tell us a little bit about the project you're working on right now?
Sure. Yeah. We're doing a docu-series that is 95% done for season 1. It's called Action Figure Adventure. So if you want to think of it as the spiritual successor to Nintendo Quest. So for a few years now, I've been involved with the Children's Health Foundation, which is the children's hospital in my city here, just helping out. And so we're kind of thinking about, Rob and I are thinking what to do next. And of course, the natural thing everyone wants is Super Nintendo Quest. But we kind of wanted to change it up a bit. I mean, we don't just love games, right? So we thought, we love toys, we love action figures. But instead of me going out and getting these, rare action figures and playsets for myself, for my own collection, I'm going to purchase them and we'll auction them off, and then the proceeds will go to the Children's Health Foundation.
That's awesome.
That's what this series is about. And it's a 10-episode docu-series that debuts this fall.
That's super cool. And where are people going to be able to watch that?
The best thing at this point right now is to follow us on Facebook at Action Figure Adventure.
Okay.
We have Canadian distribution, working on deals with other countries, but we can't really At least
Sure.
I'm not allowed to just disclose any of that right now. But that's the best place to get a hold of us. You can always reach out to me on Facebook. I answer everybody who writes to me, and I do appreciate it, by the way. So thank you.
That's how I got in touch with Jay.
Yeah.
I Facebook stalked him, and he was foolish enough to respond. So
Not at all, man. Everyone thinks that, the social media is it's good and bad, right? I mean, we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for social media. So
yeah, it's cool.
I use mine strictly for pretty much business. So
I think it's awesome. Do you have any, so in the fall, Action Figure Adventure, again, check that out on Facebook. Check them out, like their page, and follow them to get all the latest there, obviously. But do you have anything else in the hopper? Like you mentioned, like maybe a SNES quest, or is there anything else you've been thinking about or kind of been on your back burner you may be interested in doing?
yeah, I mean, Super Nintendo Quest, we've never said no to it. The problem that we have with writing something like that is, in my opinion, Nintendo Quest was lightning in a bottle. Okay, so does the Super Nintendo have a library that is equal to the NES with rich history? I don't believe it does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it's as exciting. I don't think there's as much of a story to tell. So me personally, I don't think it would be as exciting. That's just me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And then, the next obvious choice would be Genesis. I mean, would that do as well? It's hard to say. But we're definitely not done with video games. We just have to find and capture that right idea. So that's the best answer I can give you for that.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Honestly, I didn't think about it like that, because that was, your first statement there, like, oh, naturally just do Super Nintendo next. But, saying that out loud, it does make sense. It's kind of that lightning in a bottle moment. Like, how do you make it different than what you did in the first film, right? And the rarity of some of the carts and just the story. Like, I think it's awesome. You guys tell a lot of the history, meet with people and designers and composers, right? You need, and obviously, I mean, I know our ages, but, it rings true to us. And that tells a lot of the story that Genesis and SNES and TurboGrafx and everything tell after that, right? So,
yeah, I mean, there's a million different systems that have made an impact.
Yeah.
Any as strong as the NES? Arguably not. I mean, we didn't think so. We thought of the one system, and I've been around since. I mean, literally, the first game I played was not the Odyssey, but I played Pong. I played Atari Pong.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there from the beginning, and the most memorable library to both of us was the NES in terms of history and what it did for the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. After all the crash of the Atari and everything.
Yeah, the saturation, just non-licensing agreements and 1,000 versions of the same dark space shooter. It killed the industry, right? So. Yeah.
So I did want to ask one more question about Nintendo Quest, and then again, keeping an eye on time here, I want to move into our always fun lightning round. We kind of wrap up with something light. But final question with respect to Nintendo Quest, and you talked about it briefly. A key pillar of the movie is talking about the acquisition of stadium events, right? And not getting it during that 30 days, but then you do come to acquire it with Todd Curtis afterwards. By the way, like, how cool was he? Like, it just seems like that whole process of working with Todd was just awesome.
Todd Curtis and his family, words can't put into. I can't describe it. They're some of the nicest people on the planet, right? Yeah, he's just his no one can touch his collection, and I haven't seen Todd in a few years, right? But he's the nicest guy, and to let us into his home to do something like this, it's just unbelievable. It's just changed my life.
That's in his basement, I presume, right?
Yeah, that's his game room, which is several rooms.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, when you go down there and you're walking around, like, where is this? Because it looks like it could be like an entire house, but I presume it was like a basement. But there's several rooms down there you're walking through.
Yeah, there's several rooms. Yeah, and he's just got one of the cleanest, most well-organized collections that to this day I've still ever seen within the action figure realm or the video game realm. It's just
really,
you walk in there and it's everything is just so clean, no dust. It's like a museum. It's just beautiful.
That's awesome, because that's the thing. Like, when he's showing you the carts, he's like, "Oh, you're looking for like we're talking about how you organize your carts, like how and where everything is placed. Like, oh, you're looking for Bonk's Adventure, you're looking for Little Samson. Like you just know, like, oh, yep, that's right here.
None of that was. I had no idea because I looked through the bins of doubles that he was willing to get rid of. Those are the bins I looked at, and I didn't see Bonks or Little Samson. So I was kind of bummed. But those high caliber doubles he kept on the shelf because he keeps the boxes empty, right?
Ah, okay.
So, or
that's why he shakes it, listen to it to see if he's got another copy of it. Gotcha. Right. Yeah.
And what he gave those to me for is just, I'll never forget it. It's just insane.
So do you still have that copy of Stadium Events today?
I do not. I do not. It's been passed on. Yeah. I held on to the collection for quite a long time. And again, like I said, it has nothing to do with me not liking games anymore or Nintendo, because that's, I've made a living off of that. And that's what I love. But it's just when you can take an asset like that and turn it into something, and I turned it into real estate, and I don't regret it. I still have a ton of NES games, do you know what I mean? But at some point, I just felt like it was time for someone else to share in the life-changing experience that is Stadium Events. And I'm not even trying to be dramatic. Like, it is life-changing when you have that game.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like,
it's
I get freaked out over buying like a $200 game. Like, kidding me?
And just the rich history behind the game. The game's terrible. It's world class. Let's
track me
here. But the history, how it was only released on the eastern side to Woolworths, and then it was recalled really fast, and only 200 were supposedly sold. That's a really interesting tale to me. It's really, really interesting. So the history of that game is one of the most important in all of video game history.
Agreed. It's such a cool story. And I mean, like, everybody knows, like, from if you collect anything, whether it's Nintendo games or action figures or music or vinyls, like, it's like when you get that one you're looking for, it's like, oh, huzzah, like, I got it, right? And it's cool that you share that with somebody else, because I'm sure they have the same feeling, right? It's emotional, right? It's
really cool. And it became the quest for Stadium Events, especially when I found out that there was a slight chance I could get a box, which there's only 6 in existence. So again, it's just my elite collector mentality. It's something that I just have in me. I want to go for the biggest. It's all my years watching Indiana Jones, man. Speaking of Harrison, right? Let's you got to go for
my boy right there.
Yeah,
that's right. He's crashing planes now, though. He's a little old. He can't figure out to fly anymore.
He'll be okay.
Yeah, he always walks away somehow. I don't know. You always hear in the news like Harrison Ford crashed another plane. Like,
dude, cool. He is the most. I've never met Harrison. I've met Mark. I've met Mark Hamill, but I've never met Harrison. Harrison, alongside Jack Nicholson, is one guy that I'd actually be pretty intimidated to talk to, because Harrison doesn't look like he gives a crap,
And he hates talking to people, like all these interviews or whatever. Like he's said multiple times, like, I hate this stuff. Like, I don't enjoy it. Don't like talking to people. Like,
and he lives like in the mountains in California. Right. Like, he's not. And you never see paparazzi pictures of him. And but Harrison Ford is the coolest dude ever. He's so cool, man.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Quick question from Kevin, because I actually have this come up. You can't get the whole thing on screen there, but essentially, like, like games like Color a Dinosaur, right? You just know, like, they're absolutely terrible, and that's pretty much the only reason they're expensive, because nobody bought it when it came out, or it was towards the end of the console too, right? Some of these games. It's like the worst feeling. Would you agree?
How hard is it to pay hundreds of dollars for what you know is a crappy game? It's not hard, given the film we were trying to make. I was actually excited when we found Color a Dinosaur, and because it's a rare
in the
game.
wild. Yeah, in the wild, right? You never see it.
It's a rare game, man. And actually, that was one of the first games I streamed on Twitch shortly after we were done.
Really?
Just for a joke, it was pretty much like, how long can I stand this game? And it was like 10 minutes, and I was like, totally
so bad.
But it's not hard, man. When you look at the rarity of this stuff, and you got to understand too, Kevin. For me, collecting in itself is also a game, and it's almost more fun of a game than playing the game, if that makes sense. Like, collecting is almost more fun than actually playing.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. All right, so we're at the end of the hour here. So we, like I said earlier, we have a tradition, which we have to hold true. Lightning round. So
Sure.
we have a lightning round. I'm going to ask you some quick questions. I think it goes without explaining necessarily what a lightning round is. That being said, we do have a tradition that the guest for our lightning round, since we are low budget production here, has to make the lightning round sound effect. So when you're ready.
What do you mean, like a lightning noise?
Like a lightning, whatever you want, your lightning round bolt sound effect or whatever it is.
Sure. Yeah. What now?
Yeah, go. Make it happen. Lightning round. Here we go. I love it. All right. So here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts?
Tim Hortons.
Okay. Favorite video game console ever?
The Panasonic 3DO.
With a straight face?
Honest to God.
A movie you recently watched?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I don't know. My next question was thoughts. I don't have to ask your thoughts.
Again, yeah.
Favorite Star Wars character?
Luke Skywalker.
Why?
He's everything I ever wanted to be, and I can relate to him on so many levels.
So I have a follow-up Luke Skywalker question.
Sure.
Return of the Jedi, the black getup, or all other? I'll kind of put it in that camp.
Return of the Jedi, 100%.
Yeah, it's so awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it about or a boot? Sorry.
You know, yeah, I get made fun of all the time. I don't think I say a boot. I think I say about, but I think it's about is the proper.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Too easy. I wrote sorry too easy in my script here. What's the Konami code?
Up, down, down, left, right, BA start.
Okay, cool. One player. Favorite junk food?
I don't eat a lot of crap, but I would say, I don't know if you guys have Mars bars in the States. It's like a caramel chocolate bar, but once in a while I have those.
Probably like one of those, like, is it $100 grand?
It's
like the hodgepodge of everything.
It's almost like Snickers without the nuts, kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know you're a big Dave Grohl fan.
Yeah.
So favorite Foo Fighters song?
Times Like These.
Nirvana?
A favorite Nirvana song?
Yes.
Oh boy. Probably the studio version of Lithium.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Power Glove. It's so blank.
Bad. It is so bad, Lucas. Yeah.
Last song you recently added to a playlist?
The Voice by John Farnham, which is
I don't know it.
He's an Australian pop artist that my friends and I just adore.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Best video game, like video game soundtrack, game-wise?
Besides World of Warcraft, I will have to go with Mega Man 2.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, it's epic. Are you still glad you did this interview?
Oh man, you're an awesome dude. This has been such a blast. 100%.
Cool.
100%.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's fun because we're right at the hour, so we timed that perfectly. So I wanted to wrap this thing up. First of all, again, thanks, Jay. Thanks for being here.
Oh,
really appreciate it. Again, coming on, doing this, like Jay said, he's super easy to talk to, as you can tell. Hit him up on Facebook. I'm going to let you do some plugs for everything that you're working on. So go ahead, if you will, whatever you want to chime in.
Yeah, like I'm really looking forward to coming to your con when we can finally go out and be social again. I'm really looking forward to coming to Cleveland. And thanks to everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. Reach out to me on Facebook. That's the platform I'm on the most. And Action Figure Adventure is the name of our docu-series that we are currently working on. You can also find that on Facebook. I also have my own private YouTube channel where I do a lot of just playing with toys. You just search Jay Bartlett and you'll find me. I am not the one that's the exorcist Jay Bartlett. I am the other one who plays with toys. There's a Jay Bartlett who's an exorcist. Well, I don't know.
Maybe you'll know after that first video. You'll be like, oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like, but yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. I really do appreciate it. So thanks.
That's cool. Thanks for coming on. And again, for those of you watching, If this is the first stream you've watched, we try to do these. We have another one coming up. We're actually going to have the author of the NBA Jam book back on. He was at our show last year in 2019, so he's going to be back here with us. I think we're going to do that at the end of June or July. One thing I do want to say is, again, please share the word about what we're doing here, this content, that we keep people like Jay coming on. We also, too, do have a YouTube page. We're just starting out there, and we're going to be pushing this type of content out, whether to YouTube or podcasts. So, again, if you can just give us thumbs ups, likes, shares, or subscribe, that's great. And as always, keep up to speed with everything we've got going on at GameCleveland.com. So, that being said, I'm going to let Jay go and sign off for now. So, thanks again, Jay.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you later.